But it's like this. Listen, for those of you that aren't aware, because I know that a lot of people they pin, the game of the year on Geoff Keighley, when in reality it's like, look, Geoff Keighley is hosting a show. He's organizing things, but he's not the one that actually decides which games show up for Game of the Year. In a lot of ways, I actually think that Geoff Keighley is a lot more in tune with the gaming community than publishers, and definitely than mainstream media. And I know a lot of people will disagree on that, but that's just my opinion. Because at the very least, Geoff Keighley has consistently put on decent shows. I'm not going to say like amazing, mind-blowing shows, but at the very least, a lot of the stuff that Geoff Keighley has worked on is watchable. Like if you think back to, say, for instance, Summer of Gaming or whatever it was, at least the part that Geoff Keighley did was watchable. The stuff that came afterwards, most of the time, good God. Lord save us. Lord save us for a lot of the shows that, came around the Summer of Gaming that were not Geoff Keighley's show. Let's just say it like it is, right? So when you throw criticism at Geoff Keighley, keep in mind at least some of his shows are watchable. Okay? At least Geoff Keighley doesn't put on a show and then lecture you for like 3 hours about how much of a terrible person you are. All right? Because there's a lot of companies doing that. Like a lot of these publishers taking the high ground, being like, oh yes, these gamers, man, these gamers are terrible individuals. Oh my God, I can't believe that these are the types of people that play our video games. Like these people being all fancy and stuff and being like, I can't believe it. And then suddenly, the Blizzard case gets blown wide open. And when you really think about it, the potential for 90% of other publishers operating in a very, very similar fashion is there. Potentially even why some of them take all of these grand stands and like, oh, these gamers, you guys are so evil. You're all so evil. Oh my God, I can't believe gamers are so evil. So it's just keep that in mind. When people throw criticism at Geoff Keighley, it's like, yes, throw criticism at him. Just keep in mind, at least the shit he makes when it comes to gaming, at least it's somewhat watchable. Okay? So when it comes to the people that actually choose the games that get nominated for Game of the Year and these awards, these are the people that are doing that. You can go to the jury thing. As you can see right here, it says nominations for the Game Awards are selected by a voting jury of 103 leading media and influencer outlets across the globe. And this was something that we discussed yesterday at some point in the stream. Again, I don't know if everybody's seen it or not, so I'm just going to very quickly do a recap. But it's like, listen, here's what you got to understand, all right? Here's what you got to understand. This is us. And this is mainstream media. This time I made our ball a little bit bigger because there's more of us. Significantly more of us. Good God, can I make this bigger? Bigger? My. Did that work? Okay, yeah. Boom. Like that. Gamers. Then here would be main stream media. And this is kind of like, if you were here yesterday, then you know this already because we talked about this. But this is just like a very quick recap for people that didn't get it so that we can just get our votes in, do all that stuff, because the votes weren't working all that well yesterday. Look at me being like, I'm even going to color the insides of the words because I'm just like, I'm that committed to this. There. Gamers. And ours is red because we're very passionate, whereas a lot of mainstream media nowadays is just like, meh. And we're going to put this one in the middle. So this right here, this section right here is the things that we have in common. I don't know why I'm doing that. That's not actually very good. Let's actually go ahead like this. This section, oh, not brown. Let's go black. This section right here is what we have in common. So these are going to be the parts where you're going to be like, okay, I recognize this selection. I can see why this thing is here. But basically, you just need to understand that mainstream media in general, most outlets, don't actually play the same things or care about the same games that we do. And that's why the selection of games for the Video Game Awards feels so out of touch. And here's the important part. Here's the real important part of this presentation, right? Is that who exactly is the audience for the Video Game Awards? Okay, who's the audience for the Video Game Awards? It's not them. Mainstream media doesn't watch the Video Game Awards. They don't give a fuck about the Video Game Awards. So the audience of the Video Game Awards is actually us. We're the audience of the Video Game Awards right here. And so what is happening is by having, outlets that don't represent us, that don't like the same things we do, which is fine. That's one of the good things about gaming, is that there's so much choice that it's fine that if you want to pick something else, whatever. But it's like, by basically having these people represent our choices and then having these people watch the show, what is going to happen is that these people are not going to like the choices that these people have made, and that is going to cause a shit show. And that is why there's usually a lot of pushback into the Video Game Awards. Because like I said, I think that as a show, the Video Game Awards is actually a pretty nice show. Like, we get some announcements sometimes, we get some trailers, we get some cool stuff. I think the show itself is fine. I think it's cool. I like to watch it. I watch it every year. Sometimes I even co-stream it. And it's like, I like the show, but a lot of the times, a lot of the choices that are put on this show just leave me baffled. And this is why. And one of the things that I suggested yesterday is that you should basically replace the people who nominate stuff for these awards. You should replace them by people like Carnage, Angry Joe. These were like two selections that people made yesterday. Carnage and Angry Joe, I think, would be like two really good creators that much more represent the gaming community, while at the same time, having a wide breadth of games that they play that is diverse enough to the point where they could let's talk about this game for this category, this game for this category. Not just these two. There are other amazing creators. I'm not going to remember all of them off the top of my head, but that's, I feel like, what would be a potential solution for the Video Game Awards to become more in line with what gamers expect, because ultimately this is a show for gamers. At least that's what that's what my simpleton brain tells me. Maybe I could be completely wrong, right? But what my brain tells me is that this is a show that is meant to be watched by gamers. Like, for instance, when you have, say, a football event like the Super Bowl, I don't really watch the Super Bowl or their sporting events, but I would imagine that, the people that tune in to watch the Super Bowl, they're going to be football fans. Therefore, the people that tune in to watch the Video Game Awards, they're going to be fans of video games. They're going to be gamers. But, nowadays, like I've also stated, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but gamers now have kind of like a negative connotation associated with their name, so which is ridiculous, but whatever. Besides the point. Anyway, so nominated for Game of the Year, we have Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. Out of these games, I've only played Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart and Metroid Dread. I'm not a huge fan of Resident Evil. I'm not saying that Resident Evil is a bad franchise by any stretch. I think it's an amazing franchise. It's just not really something that is for me. So basically, I played these two games. I've seen stuff from Psychonauts 2. Doesn't seem like something that I would enjoy that much. I've seen stuff from Deathloop. Also doesn't seem like my style. And It Takes Two actually seems like a lot of fun, but it seems like something I would want to play, with like a friend and local couch co-op as opposed to online multiplayer. I think it would be much more interesting. So anyways, the one that I will vote for is Metroid Dread. The one that I believe is going to win is Deathloop. I think Deathloop is going to win this category. Deathloop, by the way, got nominated for just about every category. It's like, Deathloop feels like The Last of Us 2 of 2021. Like, look at that. Best game direction, Deathloop, once again. Now, when it comes to game direction, they're talking about specifically outstanding creative vision, innovation, game direction, design. I've played two games in here, which are Returnal and Ratchet & Clank. Ratchet & Clank, I think, is amazing, but I don't think it's particularly revolutionary. I mean, it's got the stuff where they do with the portals and whatnot, which is pretty cool. But I think that Returnal kind of takes the cake. Returnal was a pretty interesting game and kind of like a chance and a departure from what Housemarque traditionally does. So I really like it. I'm going to vote for that. But I feel that most likely It Takes Two is going to win this category. Best narrative. I'm not going to vote for anything because I did not play any of these games, so therefore it would be wrong for me to actually vote for anything. But in terms of taking a wild stab at who's going to win it, I would imagine Life is Strange. And I'm basing this off of usually just like headlines and stuff that I will see from like gaming outlets and whatnot. I'm like 90% sure that Life is Strange is going to win. Best art direction. Obviously, I've only played Ratchet and Clank. Kenna, I think, looked amazing. I ended up not playing it. But I've heard very good things from Kenna. I think that probably Kenna deserves to win because Ratchet and Clank looks amazing, but it's kind of like Ratchet and Clank feels like an evolution of the Ratchet and Clank series, which is gorgeous. But I feel like Kenna, from the stuff that I've seen, because I didn't actually play it, I feel like Kenna probably has like a really kind of cool art style. But I suspect that The Artful Escape is actually going to win simply because of like the unique art style that they're going for and whatnot. And this is something that traditionally mainstream media outlets tend to go towards. So I think that Kenna deserves it. I think that Artful Escape is actually going to be the one to win. Best score in music. I understand that Cyberpunk, supposedly has a fantastic score, but Cyberpunk has too many problems to be nominated for any category, which is actually a news that I was watching here, which was Cyberpunk is somehow nominated for 2 Game Awards. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. The state in which Cyberpunk released kind of like excludes it from being eligible for any Game of the Year awards, but that's just one man's opinion. So, take with it what you will. In terms of best score in music, obviously I'm going to vote for Nier. Which one is going to win? Somehow I think that Deathloop might win this as well. Either Deathloop or Artful Escape are going to win this. I doubt that they would really... I doubt that they'd go the Cyberpunk route. So, that's just my thought. Y'all want some Deathloop? Yeah, dude. Deathloop is just like all over the place. Then we have best audio design, which again, out of these games, I only played these 2. In my opinion, Returnal has fantastic audio design. It feels very satisfying to shoot the guns. The guns make nice noises. The enemies pop real nice too. So I really like Returnal's sound design. But in terms of winner, I think that potentially Resident Evil might take it because I've heard it's very immersive and it's very good. So potentially Resident Evil might take the win there. Best performance, I am not going to vote because I did not play any of the games in here, which is Life is Strange, Far Cry 6, Deathloop, Resident Evil Village, and Deathloop. I think that most likely Giancarlo Esposito is going to win because he's a hot commodity and ultimately a lot of these things are popularity contests. So I don't see a world where Giancarlo Esposito doesn't win. If he doesn't win, then most likely you're looking at... Erica Mori or Juliana Blake. One of these 2 will win, but most likely Giancarlo Esposito. Games for Impact. It's interesting to say that, like, out of these 5 people, here's 3 choices. But I really do think that Giancarlo is going to be the one to win. For thought-provoking game with pro-social meaning or message, I don't tend to play these all that much. Maybe that says a lot about me, but hey, I play things that are fun for me. And these titles are not super interesting to me personally. I would imagine that Life is Strange might run away with this one. If not, I honestly don't know because I don't know any of these other games. Maybe Boyfriend Dungeon because I've heard some stuff about it. But I think Life is Strange will take this category. Best ongoing, we talked about this yesterday, and it's like, here's my opinion on this. Apex Legends, Fortnite, and Call of Duty, it's the same shit with a different smell. Literally the same game, as far as I'm concerned. The main difference between these three games is that in this one, every now and then you can play a little bit of Minecraft while you're shooting people in the face. But beyond that, it's like, this is literally the same game. This might as well just be Battle Royale 1, Battle Royale 2, Battle Royale 3. It's the same fucking game. I suspect that most likely either Apex Legends or Fortnite are going to win this category. Genshin Impact, screwed themselves over with some stupid PR bumble with the whole Elon Musk situation, and the community just like exploded on them. And particularly because mainstream media fucking hates Elon Musk. And therefore, mainstream media is going to completely shun this regardless of actual content, whatever, because it's all about politics. And the fact that these guys tweeted something positive about Elon Musk means they're like, okay, you can forget about any awards that you would ever win, because mainstream media is incredibly biased when it comes to that type of political bullshit. So, forget about Genshin Impact. There's no way they win. If they do win, I'll be extremely surprised. But basically, the choice is most likely going to be Fortnite or Apex Legends, maybe even Warzone. I don't know which one of these has been doing better, because again, like I said, to me, this is Battle Royale 1, Battle Royale 2, Battle Royale 3, and you can play a little bit of Minecraft in Battle Royale 2. But obviously, the game that clearly deserves it is Final Fantasy XIV. But the reason why it is not going to win it is because, quite simply, mainstream media does not play Final Fantasy XIV. Most mainstream media outlets do not play Final Fantasy XIV. Then when it comes to best indie game, so from what I can tell, there's a lot of positive hype going on about Inscription. So I think that Inscription is going to win. I haven't really played any of these games because I just don't have time. Listen, my gameplay stuff nowadays, there's like three main games, and then anything that I touch besides those three main games or three main styles, whatever you want to call it, but there's three main things, and I'll tell you which one they are. But anything that I touch outside of that is just like a temporary thing. But the three main things are Monster Hunter, anything literally that comes out from Monster Hunter, that's my top priority. That's one of the games that brings me the most enjoyment. Soulsborne type games and stuff from software, obviously I love those. And Final Fantasy XIV. Those are my three main things. Those are the three things that I care about in the industry. Anything that I play outside of that is just like a temporary romp to freshen up myself or something. But out of these, from the stuff that I've seen, I think Death's Door looks friggin' gorgeous, so I'm gonna vote for Death's Door. And eventually I do want to play Death's Door. It's just I haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, that's what I would vote for. Kenna also looks really cool. Honorable mention for Kenna. 12 minutes, most people told me that it's actually not as good as it turned out, as it seemed like it was going to be. So a little bit disappointing because it is developed by a Portuguese developer. Still wish him the best, but yeah. Best mobile game. We don't really care about this category, but I mean, considering that this game is a gacha, this game is a microtransaction-filled MOBA, this game, I don't even know what the fuck this is. And then this game is a Pokemon game. Obviously, we have to vote for Fantasian. I'm voting in the mobile game just because I don't want these other games to win. And here it's like, I just want a real game to win. And I've heard that this game is actually real. It's an actual real game for real people. So I'm going to vote for that one. And all these other ones, I just want these four to lose. Can we just have these four lose? That'd be good. That'd be great. Rurikhan, your bias is showing. I don't give a fuck. So what we got here, best community support. And this one is hilarious. It's hilarious how Destiny 2 gets best community support, especially after stripping away dungeons and charging players extra for them. We support our community by fleecing every last dollar we possibly can out of them, dude. Every last fucking dollar we can, dude. every last one, every ounce. I will bleed you. Like if you're a stone, I will draw blood from you, okay? So I don't understand how this game can possibly be nominated for best community support. This is some kind of a sick joke. I haven't trusted Bungie ever since they did the fucking EXP throttling nonsense, which they denied, and then it was completely proved that they were literally lying to their player base and slowing down their progress to entice them to go onto the store and buy those stupid engrams. Fuck Bungie and fuck Destiny 2 and fuck this. Just this is completely ridiculous to me. And this just goes to show how out of touch the mainstream media is, that this game is somehow voted for best community support. And some people might go like, well, what game would you put on there? Well, I could put Monster Hunter Rise on here. I could put Monster Hunter Stories 2 on here. Dude, I could put 1,000 different other games on here that came out this year that would not be Destiny 2. But this is a mainstream media choice, and therefore that's why Destiny 2 is here. Then, obviously, we have the usual suspects, Apex Legend and Fortnite. I am surprised. I'm surprised that poor old Warzone isn't here as well. As a matter of fact, you could replace Destiny 2 by Warzone. That would have probably been a better choice. Except that, they probably figured, hey, we should put Destiny 2 somewhere. Oh, sure, because someone in the mainstream media is like fucking addicted to Destiny, and so they were like, oh, we really should vote for Destiny, and they somehow convinced everybody else to vote for Destiny. This is fucking ridiculous, okay? This is ridiculous. And, Battle Royale 1 and Battle Royale 2 are also making their appearance in the best community support, which is also beyond ridiculous. No Man's Sky, I guess that's fair because they've been continuously developing stuff for the game, so I guess they kind of deserve it. As a matter of fact, looking at this, I suspect that No Man's Sky might actually win the award, but obviously we're going to be voting for Final Fantasy XIV because as far as I'm concerned, they deserve it the most. But as I've said previously, mainstream media doesn't actually play Final Fantasy XIV, therefore most likely No Man's Sky is going to end up sweeping this one. Innovation and accessibility, I have no idea. I did not play most of these games, so I can't say much. If I had to wager suspicion for somebody winning, most likely it's going to be Ubisoft because, mainstream media is going to want to jerk off Ubisoft a little bit, so they're going to give them the Innovation and Accessibility Award because Ubisoft has been doing some accessibility stuff in their games, and they're going to need to give something to Ubisoft because everybody likes sucking Yves Guillemot's dick for some strange reason. So there you go. Most likely this is going to win. I'm not going to vote in this category. I mean, if I did, I'd probably vote for Ratchet & Clank, but I don't remember the accessibility options that they've had. Most likely Forza Horizon 5 would deserve to win because Microsoft actually has these special accessibility controllers and stuff that they put on Xbox. So most likely Forza Horizon 5 actually deserves to win, but who knows. Best VR, AR, Hitman 3, I Expect You to Die 2, Lone Echo 2, Resident Evil 4, Sniper Elite VR. I'm not going to vote in this category. I didn't play any of these games. I think that this game is probably going to take it because I remember the I Expect You to Die game, and that seems like it'll be a fun thing to do in VR, so potentially this one will win it. Although I think that Sniper Elite probably deserves it more because Sniper Elite's a really fun game, and I can imagine it being super fun in VR. Best action game. Now, see, this category is a category where Monster Hunter Rise should have been nominated for because people, for some strange reason, don't realize that Monster Hunter Rise is not a fucking RPG and it's actually an action game, but, mainstream media is so fucking out of touch that they look at Monster Hunter Rise and it's like, this is a great RPG. Oh, man, I love this RPG. It's not an RPG. It's a fucking action game. Get your heads out of your asses. And in here, I'm going to vote for Returnal.
Could be so grossly incandescent.
Let's go, ye true reshields up.
ShadowTide91, thank you very much for being gross and good. That's for 21 months. Tip of the hat. Appreciate the support. So we're going to vote for Returnal on this one. And I would suspect that either Deathloop or Far Cry 6 take this because, like I said, they'll want to suck Ubisoft's dick a little bit, but they might also want to give more awards for Deathloop because it got nominated into just about every single fucking category in existence. So it wouldn't surprise me if Deathloop scores another one here in the best action game. Also because I've basically seen mainstream media just drool all over the gameplay of Deathloop, which for all I know might be friggin' fantastic. Not for me, but sure. But yeah, I'm going to give it to Returnal because Returnal deserves to win some more stuff. Returnal was really good. Best action adventure. Looking at this spread, it's weird because it's like this is a decent spread, and I think that this spread kind of makes sense for the games that came out. This is actually one of the few spreads that I'm like, you know what, I'm okay with this one. I suspect that here's my issue with it, right? I don't think that Metroid Dread is going to win Game of the Year, and I want Metroid Dread to win something. So I think that potentially they're going to give Best Action Adventure here to Metroid Dread, and I'm going to vote for Metroid Dread because I want Metroid Dread to win something. Ratchet & Clank is still fantastic. I love Ratchet & Clank, but I don't know. I liked the challenge that Metroid Dread posed more than the challenge of Ratchet & Clank, because it's just, this one is more of a personal choice than necessarily which one do I think is best, because my bias is not going to allow me to look beyond my own personal, opinions of those games. I think that Metroid Dread deserves to win more things, because Metroid Dread, I really, really love. I know that probably a lot of people look at my second stream of Metroid Dread and they'll think that like I fucking hated it. And it's like, no, you're wrong. I love that game. I love the challenge. It's just controllers this generation, good God, I could throw them all out a window and call it a day. But which one do I think is actually going to win? I think the Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy is going to take this one, despite the fact that I don't think it deserves it. But I think that either this will win or Psychonauts 2 will win. One of these two will take this category. Then next up we have Best Role Playing, which again, this makes no fucking sense to me. Like seriously, look at, imagine for a second, for starters, imagine for a second that Cyberpunk didn't have the problems that it did. Okay, Cyberpunk has tons of problems, obviously. But imagine that it didn't, right? Imagine that Cyberpunk didn't have those problems and it's actually like, okay, so it's actually in the correct category because it is an RPG because you make decisions and all of this stuff. Okay, so you got your Cyberpunk, you got your Scarlet Nexus, you got Shin Megami Tensei 5, which is a JRPG, you have a turn-based JRPG, you have Tales of Rise, which is another JRPG, Scarlet Nexus might as well just, I don't know if they're calling it a JRPG, but it is very much a JRPG. We've played the entirety of Scarlet Nexus. And so it's like you look at 1, 2, 3, 4. These are actually 4 RPG games. And then there's Monster Hunter in there. How the actual fuck is Monster Hunter supposed to compete in this category? How is Monster Hunter supposed to compete in this category? It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even, like, anyone that has actually played these games, you'll be like, okay, I can see why this game's here. I can see why this game's here and this one and this one. What the fuck is this game doing here? It's ridiculous. And yeah, it's the same thing with World. Back in 2018, Monster Hunter World won the award for Best RPG. And I'm just like, you just won the award for being the best in the wrong fucking category. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. It literally doesn't make any goddamn sense. I don't understand how this works. It's beyond ridiculous. And I get, and this to me is them basically setting up Monster Hunter Rise to fail, because there's no way that Monster Hunter Rise, wins this category. It doesn't make sense. I don't even know how Monster Hunter World won Best RPG. That doesn't even make sense to me. So it's just like, I don't get it. But anyway, out of all of these games that are here, the best one of this category that I've played is hands down Monster Hunter Rise. I mean, there's not even like a shadow of doubt in my mind. I haven't played Megami Tensei 5, but I highly doubt that Megami Tensei 5 will beat Monster Hunter Rise for me, because like I said, I'm biased. I'm biased towards Monster Hunter. Like, people need to understand that nobody in this world is unbiased. I have my own biases, just like mainstream media has their own biases. Everybody's got bias towards something, and my bias is towards Monster Hunter, and out of this category, this is the best one that I've played. But, it is what it is. Monster Hunter is easy clap, so yeah. Which one do I think will win? I think that either Megami Tensei 5 or Tales of Rise, one of these two will win. And I would imagine... And here's the thing. I was about to say I think Megami Tensei 5 might deserve it more because of the thing that I said about Tales of Rise and the way that they did DLC. But I was looking at the Shin Megami Tensei 5 store, and they're doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing, right? I mean, I'm not imagining this, right? I was looking at the Shin Megami Tensei 5... And like, because I downloaded it onto my Switch and I was like, oh, there's DLC on this game. And I go to the store to look at the DLC and you can literally go fight, spirits that you don't have access to unless you buy DLC. So I don't know what to say. It's weird. Like there's all kinds of DLC. I don't know if it's in the eShop. Like if I was to go to the eShop, if I could see it. Let me see. Let me see if I can go to the eShop and see what the DLC is for SMT5. Shin Megami Tensei 5. Where's the DLC? Do you not have access to the DLC? Okay, purchase options. Oh, they don't show the DLC in here. Oh, well. But yeah, there's just a ton of DLC that I'm very curious to learn more about. The thing is like, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the way that deals. Yeah, DLC is an additional entry in the eShop, but it's like, I'm not a fan of the way that these two games are doing DLC because... there's a straight power correlation to some of the DLC that they are doing that makes your character more powerful. And you can say, it's a single player game. It doesn't affect you. I'm like, okay, dude, okay, don't come crying to me when your single player JRPGs suddenly become pay to win. Don't come back to me and be like, oh, Rurikhan, you got to talk about this. Like, no, I talked about it long before this was the norm. You guys asked for this. Now you guys fucking deal with it. That's not my problem anymore. It's like, it is what it is. Gadoni, I didn't like the fact that the outfits in Tales of Arise straight up gave you power. Straight up gave you power. Earlier access to KO resistance, and basically in the case of the character that I was playing, which was Shield Lady, I forget her name because my memory is terrible. But in the case of the character that I was playing, the two abilities that you would get from outfits were literally the two best abilities in the whole game. So, yeah. Tying power to cosmetics is terrible. There's DLC for Shin Megami Tensei that adds more spirits that are basically XP, money, etc. Yeah, just like I said. Exactly. Yeah. So it's like you can basically also get a certain degree of power in Shin Megami Tensei 5 through DLC as well, which to me personally, it's like I may love these two games, but the way in which marketing conducts themselves kind of like excludes them for potential Game of the Year awards. But that's just me. I'm an old boomer, and some people will disagree with me. It's like, oh, you're just a boomer. Why do you know something? Not everybody's got the same time to grind as you. Yeah, you don't have time to grind because they make these games more grindy so that they can fucking get to your wallet, and you're too much of a sheep to fucking realize it. So it is what it is. Anyway, we voted for Monster Hunter Rise, and I believe that Tensei 5 or Tales of Rise will actually take this category. Cyberpunk was just like, dude, if Cyberpunk takes this category, then mainstream media loses all credibility, whatever little they actually have left. Best fighting game, I have nothing to add. I didn't play a single fighting game this year. Best family game, I think that Takes Two is going to win it. I'm not really going to vote in this category because I did not play Bowser's Fury. I think that Super Mario 3D World is possibly the best one in this category, but I think It Takes Two is going to win this one. Best Sim/strategy. Again, I'm not going to vote because there's nothing here that I've played. I believe that most likely Age of Empires 4 will take this category. Best Esports/racing. Dude, I'm going to vote for Forza Horizon 5 just because I don't want FIFA to win. Or Riders Republic. I could burn this game and burn this game. Like, burn these two people, because this is terrible. I don't know about Hot Wheels, I didn't play that, but I'm going to vote for Horizon 5 just because I like Forza Horizon, and I would rather see them win, and most likely they're going to win. I think that Forza Horizon 5 might actually take this category, and if Riders Republic wins this category, I will be very upset. Best multiplayer game. The fact that New World is here is really fucking weird. I have no idea why this game would be here, considering all the problems that it's had. But, you know, mainstream media gonna mainstream media. So I'm gonna vote for Monster Hunter Rise, because this is the game that gave me the most fun out of all the ones here. And which one do I suspect that's going to win? I think either Valheim or Back 4 Blood will take this one. Valheim or Back 4 Blood. One of these two will take this category. I'm leaning more towards Valheim, so we'll see. Content Creator of the Year. This is a fucking circle jerk. I don't know anybody here, and I don't care to know anybody here. I think that she is going to win, because she's a woman, and the other options like 3 white men. And I don't know what Dream's ethnicity is, but that's basically how mainstream media chooses who wins these types of things, so I would expect Fuseli to win. Best debut indie. I think Valheim will win either this or the multiplayer, and so if it doesn't win the multiplayer, we'll win this. I think most likely Canada deserves it, because these guys went through a lot of shit to get their game released, so I'm actually going to vote for them, even though I didn't play the game, but I would like to see them win. Most anticipated game. I mean, this is easy clap, like 100% Omega super easy. Elden Ring is 100% the most anticipated game. It might actually win. I think Elden Ring has a chance to win because there's so much hype behind this game, but I think that God of War Ragnarok might take it. I definitely don't think that Forbidden West takes the cake. I think God of War might take it. It's either God of War or Elden Ring. There's also chance for the sequel to Breath of the Wild, but I don't know. I don't know because there is kind of like, I feel like the community, although this is mainstream media, I think God of War Ragnarok's going to win. And then it's the esports categories, right? Yeah, we don't care about any of this. Esports categories, I don't need to see those. So, yeah, that's the Video Game Awards, and we've now done all of the votings that we've cared to do.